Friends and family, welcome to another uncomfortable conversation with a married woman. In this episode, we're going to talk about the other woman or the other man. The aspect of this topic that I want to talk about today is how to deal with the other person. Now, I have seen, especially when it comes to women, that they go and fight the other woman or they start attacking the other woman. I have a different perspective on that. So if you're interested, make sure to grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's talk. So if you've been in relationships, more than one, you have likely experienced infidelity. Like it has been done to you, okay? It's interesting to me how a lot of times the person who has been betrayed goes after the other person who their partner betrayed them with. So for instance, I go and attack the person that my spouse cheated on me with. That's what I see very often. I would propose to you a different perspective. Now, it always takes two to tango, right? It takes two. If I am the one cheating with somebody else and I'm the one that's married, the other person may be married, but I'm the one in the relationship with you, what business do you have with the other person that I cheated on you with? Zero. Absolute zero. I chose to either accept their advances or make the advances towards them. It's you and I that are married, not you and them. So why are you going to go and attack them? They ain't got nothing to do with you. Nothing, zero. Even if they're related to you and I cheated on you with them. They're not the one that is in a marriage with you. You know what I mean? So you have to be very, very careful on who you decide to pour out your anger or disgust or discomfort or annoyance on. It is a very, very delicate situation, depending on how the truth came about, whether it was a confession or whether you happened upon a live action. The reaction may be different. As human beings, so we are quite emotional. It is very, very difficult to keep your emotion in check. It actually is easier to spout off than to actually control yourself. It takes a seasoned and wise person to be able to hold their emotions and control themselves in a situation like that. But hear me out on this. I have been through it before. Being on the receiving end, it wasn't something that was surprising to me. For me, I pray a lot and I feel like I don't want to call it a sixth sense, but I almost anticipate certain things happening. I almost see them almost like I have a third eye. And I will usually give my partner an opportunity to come clean. I always do that. If you watch my earlier videos on my biological father and the many relationships that he went through, the many wives that he married, and how each of them, turned out, I learned a lot from that. There's no way that I will go to the other person, the third person, to go and attack them because they had a relationship with my spouse. They're not my, I don't even, how did I say it? They're not even my level of a person, in my opinion, okay? I don't want to say they're beneath me, but if you choose to do something of the sort, now there's so many different angles to this. It could be the other person didn't know that this person was married. It could be the other person was told, oh, we're in a divorce, we're separated, whatever it is, and that's how they got into. Either way, I have nothing to do with that person. It is between my spouse and I. It's my spouse that betrayed me, or my partner that betrayed me, not that third wheel. I don't mind having a conversation with the third wheel, but I'm not going to go attack them. Sometimes you learn a lot. Sometimes you will hear things that your spouse or your partner may have told that third wheel, like, oh, he said you weren't doing these things for him and he needed this, or, you may learn things. There are a lot of spouses that won't want to talk about it, those that have been the ones doing the betrayal. I am the exact opposite. What do you want to know? Was it just a thrill kind of thing? Was it just something exciting I wanted to do? Was it something that I feel like it's in my DNA because my father did it? Or is I going through something and I felt like I couldn't, go through it with you, so I want to go through something? I don't know. You know what I mean? But ask me. You have to be prepared to hear the truth. And I don't know if that truth will set you free. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel if I am the one doing it. But if it is your spouse, you have to be able to have a conversation without blowing your top. This is what adults do. You have to be able to converse about it. Keep your emotions in check, because the minute you blow up, the other person shuts down. They clam up. If you can't have that conversation, maybe you need a third person, like a therapist or somebody professional, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever it is, to be your mediator, to keep things orderly. Do you know what I mean? But my personal experience is it does not help for anyone to blow up. It doesn't help for anyone to get physically violent or verbally violent and assault or insult the other person. It just doesn't. That third party person that was with your spouse has nothing to do with you. Nothing at all. And I know people will have a heartburn about this. Give it to me in the comments down below. Again, there are so many different scenarios, but even if it were my sister, they can't do anything with my spouse without my spouse's involvement. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Yes, it'll be, oh, my sister betrayed me. That will definitely hurt. But again, if my sister were making advances towards my husband and my husband gave in to that, it's my husband that I deal with, not my sister. You know what I mean? And yeah, my sister and I can have a conversation about it if I feel like I want to. But the betrayal to me is the person that I stood in front of a pastor and before God and man, and I swore that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. That's the one that is accountable to me. So me going to go fight the third wheel, get my gorgeous self like scratched up, and I mean, look at this. Like, why would I don't come, listen, this has taken work, okay? I am not about to get into any kind of thing that's gonna, ooh, child, please. Now, the other thing that I also realized is a lot of people think that it always has to end in a divorce. Not necessarily. I think there's usually a way to rise back up out of the ashes and transform your relationship into a better relationship. A lot of times there are root causes of infidelity. Now, if your spouse is willing to open up and talk about it, you may get to what that root cause is and be able to figure out how to deal with it. And if there's a path forward, great. If there's no path forward, you call it quits, you go your separate ways. But it warrants a conversation, because that will help you learn about yourself and it'll help your spouse learn about you, and vice versa. They will learn about themselves and they will learn, you have to have a conversation, and you can't go crazy. You just can't go crazy. I don't understand the whole premise of going crazy. I really don't. I get upset. I can get upset, yes. But going crazy where you get violent and then you look some kind of way. You're the one who were betrayed. You start to look some kind of way, like people are probably gonna be like, yeah, that's why he cheated on you, because you're like that. Now, take your emotions out of it. It's very difficult, much easier said than done. But try to look at it from a different perspective, from the outside looking in. What was it? Did I look like I was homeless all the time? Have I become unattractive? Have I started speaking in a way that dishonors my partner and makes them feel less than that somebody else was speaking to them and make them feel like a king or a queen? I'm not saying that it is your fault when somebody cheats on you. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to be willing to take accountability for anything that you yourself may need to improve for yourself, not necessarily for the other person, but moving forward in your life for you. There's a lesson in everything, any situation, especially the bad situations. There's always a lesson. So you want to make sure that whatever lesson that is in that situation for you, you learn it, and again, you rise up out of the ashes. You're a better person after that event. I have learned that in my life. Yes, ma'am, sir. And I have learned that I cannot, and I will not, put myself in a position ever again where somebody feels like they can get away with something like that with me. I will tell you, prayer though, and I know, everybody has different religions, backgrounds and whatnot, but prayer has never failed me, ever. I grew up in those kinds of environments. I see the signs as soon as they start, the signs of infidelity as soon as they start. I know them so well, unfortunately. So I start to pray, and what I pray for is not necessarily for that person to stop, not for my spouse to stop, or my partner, whoever it is, to stop, but for there to come a revelation, not just to me, but to my spouse and that other person, or to my partner and that other person, the third wheel, some kind of a revelation. Now, if it gets to a point where I have to get involved, where I have to let the other person know that I know what you're doing, or let my spouse or my partner know that I know what you're doing, oh yeah, I'll do that. I will do that. And not in a harsh way, but to let you know, for those few moments of pleasure, have you thought about the repercussions on your family? How would your husband feel if I were to tell them this? Because I know it. I know what you're doing. And in my own life, I have seen that sometimes a person cares and sometimes they don't give a, you know what I mean. I would say you have to be the bigger person. You have to be the more matured person in that triangle, and you have to be the one that rises above it. I have sometimes had to remove myself from the situation if I felt like I was getting too emotional, and go calm myself down in any way that I need to do it. And then you can come back and you can have the conversation, but don't have the conversation when you're hot-headed and upset and all emotional about it. Nothing comes out of it, and it's a waste of time. So I'm going to tell you, yes, in my past life I've seen it. It's happened to me, and you're going to be like, oh, who would do that to somebody so gorgeous? I know, right? Like, but no, seriously, I've said it in my previous video, like, it doesn't matter how pretty you are and how wonderful you are. Models get cheated on. Hollywood stars, gorgeous people get cheated on. Listen, you cannot have the same gourmet cake every day of your life for 100 years. You will get tired of it at some point. Now, the responsibility on you is, what do you do when you get tired? Do you switch cakes? Or do you just stop eating the cake for a while and then come back to it, and then it seems like it's brand new? The switching the cake and getting another piece of cake may be the betrayal situation. Just pausing a little bit from that cake and just saying, okay, I'm not going to look at it in that same, I'm not even going to look at it, for the next 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Let me refocus on myself and resettle myself and whatever is going on in my brain. Let me cleanse myself and then come back to it. You have to find a way. Marriage is a long journey. Long journey. Okay. Let's not play. Let's not play. So before you get into it, just remember, some of these things happen. Again, I don't know any relationship where there hasn't been some kind of emotional or physical infidelity. I really don't know any. And usually those that will say, yeah, I know my parents are married and they never got a divorce, it doesn't mean somebody wasn't unfaithful. Or, oh, none of them were unfaithful, nobody was unfaithful. That doesn't mean that's what you think you know. You know what I mean? But it can be an emotional one and it can be a physical one. So make sure that you're not that kind of person that keeps going to fight somebody else. So why are you, the female, going to fight the other female, and the man that cheated on you is just sitting there? Why? Why is it the other female's fault and not the man that you're with that cheated on you? How about that? So that's all I'm going to leave y'all with. Be ladies, I mean, come on now. Don't get ratchet, okay? Don't get ratchet. You're a queen. You're more than that, okay? Just do what you have to do gently, quietly, calmly, maturely. Get on with your life, whichever way you choose it, okay? And that's all I have to say about that. Don't forget to keep watching my episodes on Uncomfortable Conversations with a Married Woman, and I'll keep bringing you some more spicy stuff, okay? Until next time, remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to your spouse, be respectful to yourself, and be respectful to your spouse. I'll talk to you later.